Starting the bumper repair. I honestly have no desire to do this, but considering the last time my daughter bumped into somebody in a driveway at very low speed, it cost us $1,200 to get the bumper repaired. Insane. And it was just a small dent and a scrape in the paint. Body shop absolutely raked us over the coals. So I'm going to see what I can do on repairing this, or at least try to make it look much better. First time for me to ever do anything like this. First on the agenda is remove the bumper and then start remolding this plastic back into its original shape. Okay, starting out with 10mm bolts. There are 4 of them, 1 on each end and then 2 just off from center. Underneath there will be numerous little plastic tabs here. Looks like this one has already pulled out from some other accident. And there will be several small ones all down the lower portion of the bumper. From what I understand, these little pegs, plastic pegs, will have to be replaced because they don't come out gently. They generally come out in pieces. So I'll have to order a bag of those. All right, I'll take those off and then I'll see if there's anywhere else the bumper's hanging up at. Okay, I'm gonna sacrifice one of these, cut it in half, pull it out and see if there's some simple way to remove these. These do not appear to be made to where you can take them back out without damaging them. So, looks like I'm gonna need to cut all of them and buy some more of these. Rear passenger corner. Got your fender flare here. Have to pull this out a little bit and there are going to be 2 metal rivets that you can see right in there. These are 3/4 inch rivets. Alright, I've got to cut those out somehow. Either drill them out or cut them from the back side. So I'll be working with that. I'm going to try to get them out without having to pull this entire fender flare off. But anyways, I'm going to see what works. Okay, through trial and error, I figured out the best way to get those 3/4 inch rivets off. And that is using a Dremel with a cutting disc. This cutting disc will cut right through that aluminum rivet like hot knife through butter. But be careful. You get that thing turned at the wrong angle, you'll snap this off. This will go spinning through the air and liable to hit you in the face. And I'll make me a cut straight across, turn it a little bit, and do another cut. After 2 cuts all the way across that rivet, you can take a pair of needle nose pliers or regular pliers and start tearing that out of there. There's half of it. Now that I've got it turned, I'll cut through the other direction. Just try and be careful and not go too deep and cut into the plastic. Screwdriver helps to get in there and separate the rivet from the plastic. There we go. Bumper's loose on that side. Now all I have to do is jump over the other side, pull the fender flaring back, and do the same thing. I also pulled the taillights out. Super easy to do. 10mm bolt right here and right here. Pull the whole light assembly straight back. It comes out and you have one plug. All you have to do is push your thumb right into there and you can slide this plug right out of the socket. I had to do that because the bumper has a lip right here that sets right back inside the light assembly. Little closer angle here. This is what I did with the Dremel tool and the little cutting disc. Just made a cross in there. Now I'll wedge this flathead screwdriver up underneath that and start prying them out and grabbing a hold of them with pliers or wire cutters, whatever I got handy. Now, there were supposed to be some clips. You're supposed to be able to give it a good firm jerk. I don't see the clips. Oh well, it just made it that much easier. Okay, bumper is off. I'm probably going to put this on a sawhorse so I'm not grinding it around on the concrete. One of my daughters pointed out that I have a separate issue besides the gouge into the bumper. she spotted underneath the curvature of the bumper an even worse tear. This one is at least double the one that I've got to repair to begin with. Dadgummit. So I'll be heating these up and doing plastic weld. Plastic weld, something else I have never done before. So it's a first for several little projects. I decided to heck with the little sawhorses. I've got scaffolding where I can bring it right out here and use it as a workbench. Absolutely perfect for a workbench. Okay, we're going to revisit the damage that has to be repaired and take some before shots. So, got about a 3.5, nearly 4-inch crack or split in the bumper here, and then we got a tear through right here. And it's probably 2.5, almost 3 inches there. So that is the damage we're repairing. We also have a serious crease right down through here, indent here. This is raised. Looks like we got something going on here. It might be popped out a little bit. So I'm gonna first heat this up and start pushing plastic around and see if I can get all this stuff back to roughly the angles that the bumper is supposed to be setting at. Alright, you can see the little bit of heat I put to it, and just pushing with my fingers I was able to completely close up that gap there, and got pretty much the same results here. Have just a small gap right in here at the top, but I've got some 3M flexible Bondo type stuff that I can fill on the backside, or actually would be the surface of the bumper. Alright, so I've put some tape on here, that way this bumper does not slip and I wind up with a jagged edge right here. I've got it set pretty much where I want, so I'll put a weld in here and weld the top part, and then I'll remove the tape and do the crack in here. The tape is just to keep the bumper from shifting, because this is a very flexible bumper. Alright, plastic welder, brand spanking new. My daughter bought this for me for her birthday, and I just haven't had a chance to use it, but today it gets used. Okay, first time to use the plastic welder. Finished product turned out really nice. Started out total disaster. As I read the instructions, it said heat for 5 seconds. It turned the little staples red hot, and it sunk right down into that plastic like a hot knife through butter. And then I couldn't get it to release because the plastic was so hot and liquefied around the staple would just pull straight back out. So I highly recommend watching some YouTube videos on operating one of these guns. Everybody else is just depressing the trigger for just a few seconds and slowly sinking the staples into the plastic. That prevents the plastic from overheating the surrounding area, and so you can then pull your staples out without much difficulty at all. Alright, since I think I have a rough understanding of this, I'm going to go ahead and film it. You want to get that staple about halfway into the plastic. Give it a few puffs of air, cool that plastic down, and then your weld gun should lift up off the staples. Like that. Voila. Now this kit came with what looks like pretty decent wire cutters, but this older pair with longer handle is much better. I can get some force on it with this longer handle. I think it goes without saying, make sure you wear your glasses. I can literally hear these wire pieces flying up and hitting the garage door above me. That'd put an eyeball out pretty darn quick. Now I'll take the knife, go over this, kind of smooth it out a little bit. When I say knife, I'm referring to this little device right here that goes on the end of the welding gun. That will certainly hold it in place so I can Bondo the front of the bumper. Next, I'm going to do this one right here, this tear, and it's going to be the same process. Okay, I'm pretty pleased with that repair there. So next, I'm going to heat this panel up, and I'm going to use a block of wood and I'm just going to push and pull on either side and figure out where I've got high spots and low spots. And I'm going to try to make this all nice and flat out across there, or at least go to the correct curvature of the bumper, because it does have some curves. This side over here I'm saving for last because I want to be able to get a feel for it before I get to this, because this is a mess. So I'm confident I can get this worked out where it looks pretty decent, and then I can start doing a little bit of body fill. I have virtually got the pucker completely pulled out of it, just putting heat to it and applying pressure right along that edge there. It is very close to back to where it needs to be. This has 2 creases down through here that I'm gonna have to pull out and then fix this bubble in here where this tear is. Damn, that's hot. All right, now I'm just going to start pushing and pulling on that while it's hot, and as it cools, hopefully I'll get most of that crease out of there. It's still pliable, it's still hot, but at least I can get my fingers on it a little bit. I'm pushing on the other side also, pushing against my hand on this side, and just kind of going, just basically going with the feel. See what feels high and what feels low, and just pushing against it as this thing sets up. Whew, it's still hot up there. So lesson learned, do the pushing and pulling with the heat gun first, and then come in and do the staples. You can see me pushing that crease out. I just keep doing it as that plastic cools, slowly working it out. Alright, I think I'm about as close to right as I'm going to be able to get. I also used the back end of this screwdriver, which seemed to help on that crease. But I am to the point to where I think I'm going to be comfortable putting some Bondo on this and sanding it down. I know that looks god-awful, but it's way better than what it was. In the morning, when this is all nice and cold, I'll come out here and I'll re-staple this. Get this all lined back up and slap some more staples in it. These actually held up good, but this one that tore all the way through, it couldn't handle it. It gave way, but that's okay. I can go back in there and put some more staples in it.